Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Choose a Happy Day podcast. I'm here today with Deborah Hanlon, and my name is Lorraine Toth. And today we are going to talk about energy, manifesting, what kind of vibe you give off, what you attract, and how to use the law of attraction in your favor. So, Deborah, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh my gosh, I'm always so, well, first of all, thank you for having me on. This is very exciting. And it's about time that you have your own podcast.
Yes.
You've been out in the world for a long time,
I have, yes,
but not in this way. So well done.
Oh, thank you.
Introducing myself, I never know. I just, people find me through one means, but you kind of stay with me with another means. Mm-hmm. It's my whole mission in life is all about the living and all about how do we live better lives that are more authentic and true and natural to ourselves and whatever that means. So it's a vague response. People normally find me through mediumship and intuition work. Mm-hmm. And in that process, when I was working so much with the consciousness of the deceased, I realized, oh my gosh, they are fine. They're okay. Yes. I always say they've got the good spot, right? So I would then start wondering, why is it? What is the consciousness they are in that is creating this sense of peace, this heaven that we talk about? And I started to notice and observe and note what those things were and apply them to now. Like, why wait until we are without a body to have a consciousness of openness and expansiveness? Why not start that now while we're in physical form?
Yes, and you do. And Deborah, I met 10 years ago at a meditation seminar, and then I went through her Reiki training and just really did a lot of self-work and learned about energy and all of that and getting out of my head, as she would say, Lorraine, get out of your head. So yes, that's where Deborah and I connected. And she's been my mentor since, I would have to say, for the last 10 years and a source of inspiration. Yes.
Which is a lot. Thank you.
Of course.
And I can't believe it's been 10 years. Yes. I literally can't believe that.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today I wanted to give our viewers some tips about how to use energy to become a happier version of themselves. And the one thing that stuck out with me for the last 10 years that you taught me is about the red tapes, you would say, running through my mind. And, Lorraine, stop replaying those tapes from the past. And I wanted you to speak on that and how running those red tapes, as you called them, and you can describe that, manifests into your future self.
Yep. It's so important. Yes. And it's something that we should really learn when we're like 7. And we can. It's so simple. We can learn this at 7. But we're all these conditioned humans, right? We were raised a certain way. And this is not a moment to like blame our parents or blame our past. It's not about that at all. It's about to pay attention to like, how were you conditioned to believe and behave in this world? And that takes a level of self-observation and curiosity and really like looking at your background. And when we see our lives as they were conditioned, some of our conditioning was really, really great. And we keep those. A great conditioning is if someone was grown up in a wonderful, loving family and they felt very loved, then we keep that conditioning. That's a good tape. However, there are some of us who have been raised not feeling loved or been very plugged into the consciousness of lack, either lack of love, lack of finances, lack of resources, lack of self-worth, whatever. That's not a great tape. So we need to look at that. The way we think and feel about ourselves is really a direct result with how we were conditioned. And when we can intercept that conditioning, we can change the story. And that really, truly is all it is. The process of that is not simple. It takes self-honesty. It takes willingness. It takes work. You've got to look at the people in your lives, not wanting to waste your time and energy on blaming other people, because it is a waste of time and energy, even if it's true. Even if somebody did do something to harm you, it's a waste of our energy at this point to reverse it or to go into that, and to really start claiming the now. And realizing, okay, if this tape I didn't like that tape the first time, why am I going to keep replaying it over and over? And we all are. We are all in a very gross, unconscious reenactment of our conditioning.
Yes.
Until we're not.
Right. So I remember you said one of the tricks was to go look at the skeletons in my closet, is what you called it. So is there a tip that they can use to look at the skeletons in their closet and really reflect on, oh yeah, this is where that came from?
Totally. So a lot of times we don't know what's the quote unquote good conditioning, or a better word for that is a favorable conditioning, one that gives a good outcome, or an unfavorable conditioning, meaning one I don't really like. I don't want to keep replaying that. Mm-hmm. So what I have people do is take an aspect of your life that you really love, whatever it is, and just write out, what do you love about that aspect of your life? Then take an aspect of your life you don't love, and write out everything you don't love. Write out your thoughts. And you will see an instant direct correlation to, oh, wow, the parts of my life that are favorable, I have good thoughts about them. The parts that are unfavorable, I have not good thoughts about. So once you start challenging and seeing what you think about yourself or about an aspect of your life, you can start going, I need to challenge that one.
Yes.
That one's not working for me.
I need to work on that.
Right. I mean, I work with so many people, but women who relationships, all potential partners cheat. That can be a thought that someone has had in the past. That could be a conditioning that has been true. But if we're carrying that thought, we're going to keep replaying that thought. So that's an unfavorable tape.
Yes.
And we can challenge that. Well, is that true? That is actually not true. And people say, oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. No, it is not true. That is not an actual truth until we make it so. So those are the things. How do you look about your finances? Money is hard to come by. Oh, well, I bet money is hard to come by for you if your tape is all about that, or I have to work really, really hard for it, or, pick a topic in your life and just start writing what your thoughts are about it. And it will show you immediately like, there's the path right there. Yes. This is what I need to change.
Yes. Okay. And that brings me to my next question, because when you have a lower self vibration or you're attracting the wrong kind of person, what energy are you giving off? And to give you guys a backstory, I think this was 2017, 2018. Deborah made me promise to her to send her pictures of guys I was going on dates with. And I was on all the dating apps. It was horrible. But so she's like, she made me promise to send her pictures. So I would send her pictures and she would read them, read their energy, read their vibe, and be like, yeah, no. So I feel as though I was projecting a low self-value and I was just attracting the wrong kind of narcissist, self-involved person into my life because I wasn't in a good mental state. So how did you read those signs, I guess, and how can people change what they're attracting if they're in the dating world?
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah. So it's a big one. A lot of times we attract what we are. And nobody likes to hear that because people will say, well, no, because I'm not a cheating, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't mean it's instance for instance, but you're attracting the vibration that you are. And so many times I'll have women say, I just want a man who's like really rich and has a great job and self-supporting and is very giving. And then I have to ask you, are you really rich, self-supporting, and very giving? Oh. If you're not, you are probably not going to attract that energy. Okay. So we attract what we are and who we are. And we have to really, really look at that, right? So this whole thing comes down to honesty, truth with yourselves. You never have to speak it outward. Just look at like, these are the aspects of myself that are not so favorable. No one likes to talk about that, especially in the world of spirituality and positivity. It's all about being positive, but we can't sugarcoat positivity and then call it spirituality. We have to look at honesty with what we are and who we are. So say you have a very big jealous streak in you. You're probably going to attract someone who also is mirroring that, who's very possessive, who's very keeps you close. So you have to really look at who you are before you're even thinking about the next person. When you then attract that person, what is it you want to do for them and be for them, as well as yourself, of course. So it's not so much like low vibration, because what happens is I know people who are depressed or sad, they'll say, oh my gosh, well, my vibration's low, so I'm going to only attract people who are depressed and so on. That's not quite the same. It goes back to those conditioned tapes.
Okay.
It really goes right back.
You got to start there. Start with the conditioning tapes. Start with the red tapes, right?
The red tapes.
And then you can go into what you want to attract.
Exactly.
And I feel that you can't get what you want until you know what you want. So back in the day, I wrote down 38 characteristics of the partner I was trying to attract. Is that a thing to use for law of attraction where you actually write down what you want?
I think it's more of not even want, because want is desire and want is a state of consciousness, which wanting itself is a state of energy that keeps us wanting and not in a receptive having being state. So we switch the word from wanting to being, first of all. And it's the things that you notice, you observe, the things you observe in yourself and the things you observe in other people that you become aware of. So it's not that we attract what we want, we attract what we're aware of. It's we attract what we're focusing on.
Ah, very good. Okay, perfect. All right. Another question I had was, when you're looking for signs, you don't know the answers. What can you use? People will want a sign. For me, a heart shape would appear, and that was my sign, and that's what I wrote about in my first book. Is there such a thing as listening to the signs from the universe to make a decision?
Totally. It's a really great question.
Oh, well,
it really is a really great question. Because I'd like to fine-tune people's ideas of signs, because signs are external. They're external validations. So, and we need them and we live by them because we're creatures that have an internal world and an external world. I would want people to be aware of external signs, but not reliant on them, because the internal world is a much stronger tool. What feels right? What direction? What feels right? What feels not right? Sometimes, and I teach this all the time, sometimes we have an I don't know feeling. It's very neutral. Ooh, I don't know what feels right. That is the feeling. So instead of external signs as the path, go internal. Feel your way through it. What feels right? This direction feels right. I don't know why it feels right, but it feels right. And then you can be observant of the external little signposts along the way. But sometimes we do it outside in.
Okay.
And that's where I would say, be mindful of outside in versus inside. This feels right. And there's my heart.
Okay.
This feels right. Something doesn't feel right here. What is it? I don't know. And then just honor that I don't know. We are raised in a culture where we're not allowed to say I don't know, ever. School, when your teacher asks you a question, and you say, I don't know the answer, what do? They probe, they prime. Yes, you do. Push. Instead of, okay, I don't know. Let's reside in I don't know. That's an okay space to be. And it's also actually the field of all potential, right? I don't know is, I don't know. So it could be absolutely anything. So we need to start looking at the I don't know as a neutral ground of field of potential and then reside there. And I promise, because the way the human mind energy works, eventually that I don't know becomes a, this is right, or nope, it's not that, so it must be this.
Okay.
So residing in the I don't know is extremely important.
Okay. And is there a certain time? Because I know everyone's probably thinking this, women are like, I don't want to stay in the I don't know. I have to make a decision. Is it this job or this house? So how do you know?
Totally. So that's a great question. That shouldn't surprise me with your great questions.
Hi, Oprah here.
That's so great because people are impatient.
Yes.
And that's what normally forces us to just go, okay, I'm going to choose this and kind of like blankly do it with our eyes closed, even though that's against what our gut is telling us. So we do need to get patient and calm and trusting. And that's a big, big word in this world. We have to trust ourselves. Like, I will know when it's time. And people say, but I have to make a decision on this house, whether we're going to buy it or not. Okay, well, if I feel rushed in that decision and it's not feeling good, then it's probably a no. So timing will sort of unfold versus us creating a timeline. That's a human concept, by the way. Timelines are human concepts. Yeah.
Okay.
Things unfold in nature.
Yes.
There's no real timeline. And yet, in nature, everything unfolds in its perfect timing.
Yes.
So the human mind is what's impatient.
We're the problem.
We're the problem. Taylor Swift, my favorite song.
We are the problem.
We are the problem.
Perfect. So one of my questions also was, when those fears of the past, keep playing out in your future, is there a way to stop that? So to give some context or maybe an example, so someone could be like, oh yeah, that's me. Maybe you got divorced 4 years ago and your fear of, like you said, your future mate is going to cheat on you or you're not going to, they don't want to commit to you. How do you stop those fears from the past of playing out into your future?
Such a great question.
Oh, thank you. Thought about this.
Some of it is we don't know.
Okay.
And people hate that, right? Because we want certainty. So some of it is we don't know. Life is a risk. Life is a challenge. Life is a lot of series of I don't know. And in that process, you get to know yourself. So you come back to yourself of, I do trust myself over time and time again, that I will make the right decision or I will be okay in this outcome. So we're really looking for that goal versus the goal of whatever it is we're looking at, whether it's the relationship, the career, the family, the whatever. Again, that's outside, that's external. So we have to start really going, I do trust myself to make the right decision. And I even trust myself in making a wrong decision that I can learn from it and grow from it. So we're not going to hit the perfect path. And people hate to hear that.
Yes.
Perfect meaning everything works out exactly as you want it. I don't know that I want my life to work out exactly as I want it because I believe the universe probably has a much grander, better plan that's more efficient.
Yes.
But the human mind is like, I want X, Y, Z. But the universe is like, really? I was going to give you a whole other alphabet, but you just wanted X, Y, Z.
Yes.
So sometimes we have to really open ourselves up and expand, not sometimes, all the time, expand our awareness into the bigger picture versus the limited human view.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I call it the white picket fence syndrome, which I definitely had.
Yes.
I've been now divorced and, single, so to speak, for 10 years. And that was not my white picket fence dream. But even though things didn't go as planned, I've learned a lot along the way and really had to look at my red tapes.
That's that. And that's it. Those are the challenges of life ultimately are that. It's not that we're doing anything wrong. It's not that we're bad people, or it's not that we're selfish and we didn't consider it. It's none of those things. Those are tapes.
Yes.
It's just that we're living life and we're not, we don't come with handbooks and we have no idea what's about to come. We can't control it all. So we need to get used to that. But what we can control is our response system inside ourselves. That's the key piece of how well do I feel with myself? And be honest with that. Sometimes it's, I don't trust myself at all to make the right decision. Aha, okay. Well, now that's a good tape that we're looking at to say, all right, why? What's going on here? Let's dive into that a little bit. So it always needs to come back to self-referral, self-honesty, self-check-in. Then those fears they're not as big, like the fear of what if I make the wrong decision again? Okay, then the next time around, it might be I made the wrong decision again. That stinks. Nobody likes it by any means. But we need to even be okay with that. Because over time, if we're really, really observant of ourselves, we start to go, well, I kind of like myself even in this wavy, roller coaster of a life. If you can, at the end of your life, really, really admit and feel that you lived your most authentic self, you've gotten it all. You've gotten it all, quote unquote, right.
Okay. Yes, I agree. And that's one of the things with, choosing happiness and choosing to be your most authentic self. So you're not this watered down version of yourself. And I wanted to give, a key takeaway on how to get there. For me, it's what I call a brain dump. And that's in my journal. I have 3 journals that I write in every single day. So one is a manifesting journal, one is a gratitude journal, and then one is just the brain dump, verbal, vomit, kind of diary. But that I feel, and then meditation, which is where you came into my life, I feel are the two toolbox items that people need to really get in and see who is this authentic person.
Exactly.
Do you have any recommendations?
I mean, meditation is so key. It's that silent, quiet, still being with self, and it's really hard.
Yes,
it's really so hard because the mind just wants to just fill in space. So, and meditation, for those who have never done it before, it's not about sitting in bliss. It's actually kind of sitting in hell, because then you start to see how insane your mind is.
Yes.
All of our minds are insane, whether it's insane with negative self-talk, maybe it's insane with blaming or angry or imagining a fight in our heads with somebody else, or maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do laundry and then I have to go grocery shopping. It's filled with a lot of nonsense, a lot, like 99.9% nonsense. So that observation of being really with yourself and seeing the crazy.
Yes.
Meet the crazy.
Hi,
see
crazy.
the crazy. Hey, what's up, girl? Yes. It's important. And then go, wow, oh my gosh. So meditation isn't about emptying my mind of no thoughts. That's not possible. It's about noticing what is the tape that's running through all the time and sit in observation of it. So that's huge. You mentioned the gratitude journal. Gratitude is an attracting energy. And I do remember a time in my life where I was just really down and out. And someone said to me, find something to be grateful for. And sadly at the time, I was like, I've got nothing. I had nothing. There's nothing to be grateful for, which at the time I really felt. Looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had so much to be grateful for. But, sometimes we're in these mind spaces where we can't even see what's beautiful in front of us. So the person worked with me a little bit and asked me, like, what's one thing about yourself? And at the time I said, I like my eyelashes. And I was kind of being annoying. I was kind of being obnoxious, like, oh yeah, let me change my world through my eyelashes. And they said, okay, then you focus on those eyelashes every day. And every time your focus goes off of them, you bring them back. And I did do just that. And then that turned into a constant mind training of, I am going to focus on what I like or what's going right. Then that becomes the practice.
Okay.
And every day I wake up, I'm literally in gratitude for my toothbrush, for my toothpaste, for there being toilet paper, for there being soap, the very basic stuff. Well, it's not about the fancy cars and the great houses and all that. It's not about that. I'm grateful for the pen. I'm grateful that I have, lip gloss. Dumb. It could be totally, doesn't have to be spiritual. It doesn't have to be deep. And then that becomes spiritual and deep. My toothpaste every morning is a spiritual experience. And I know that sounds insane, but it's just a refocusing of the mind of, I can absolutely choose to think about all the things that are going wrong or that I don't like in my life. And there are things, of course. Or I can focus on, in that moment, I have to brush my teeth right now and I have a toothbrush and toothpaste.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Yes.
It really, really is. And if you could start there, then you go and get dressed. Oh, I have clothes. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have that. And you start focusing on what you have.
Yes.
And not what you don't have.
And that's kind of ties into the law of attraction, right?
100%.
Okay. So if you have lack, it's only going to attract more lack.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. What we focus on, what we choose.
Yes. We choose happy.
Choose happy.
Happy comes in, right?
It totally does. And it's not necessarily like, I'm being happy, so therefore I'm going to be happy. Because life has its moments of not happy moments. It's going to have that. But we can always be in a place of empowerment to choose the better thought.
Okay.
And maybe the better thought is, instead of, I hate everyone, I hate my boss.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Which is a better thought. So we're not even talking about choosing non-authentic happy. That's different. That's, that's the fake it till you make it, which I'm not a fan of.
No.
Because then you're just faking it.
Yes.
You're inauthentically being. So be real, be true, be angry, be sad, be depressed, and recognize that you can be that, and then also be in a place of empowerment to choose maybe a little bit better.
Yes.
little better thought, whatever that is in the moment.
Okay.
Doesn't have to go swing all the way to perfection. It could, but it doesn't always, because sometimes we don't have that. When we're really down and out and sad or frustrated or feeling hopeless or helpless, it's really hard to swing to the other side of the pendulum to say, but that's okay. I'm so happy. Everything's great. It could be, I'm glad I'm breathing in this moment, or I'm glad so-and-so is breathing. Maybe it's not even yourself. Maybe it's, I'm glad my pet is breathing, my child, my spouse, my parents. We can choose something that is, as long as it's authentic.
Okay.
And if you don't have a thought authentic, I would say then allow yourself to choose the truest, even the truest misery. And this is when people vary from me. Choose what's real, because what's real, we can't fight. We can't argue it. If we're feeling very depressed, you can choose to feel depressed. Just let yourself choose it versus it choosing you in the moment.
Okay.
You can say, I'm giving myself this day, this hour, this month, whatever time frame, this minute, to be completely devastated. I'm going to give myself this time to be completely angry, to be completely fill in the blank. That's better and more empowering than feeling devastated, but pretending that you're not.
Yes, covering it up with a Band-Aid.
Exactly.
Which that brings me to my last question for today, is basically when we ignore the signs. We ignore that we're so unhappy in our job or our marriage, and it begins to manifest, in our bodies. It's trapped energy, going into the Reiki space. So does the body speak to us when we're not authentic to ourselves? When we ignore those, those signs, whether it be shingles or a backache. I constantly hearing women say, it came from out of nowhere. My back seized up, or I can't move my neck. Well, how is your life, right? How is your happy?
Absolutely. Our bodies are the last line of a warning. So we have like physical bodies, of course, as we know. And then just above that, we have an emotional body. And above that, we have a mental body. And then we have a spiritual body. So we have many bodies. I don't end right here. I should end about here in my energy field. About 3 feet from the physical body is where our energy field begins and ends. And that could be 10 feet for some people. It could be 2 inches for others. There's no 3 exact feet.
Is
just
that
as a
your
concept.
aura?
That's your auric field. Yes. And it's your energy field, because we are